What is happening, y'all? Welcome. I'm back. We are wrapping up the last little bit of a region in this episode. So we're starting from the village of Albanurix. We're just going to be going kind of straight east, honestly. It's easier to just head east than mark anything. There's just a little shiny that I had overlooked. Not an incredibly useful skill, but you know, I like making sure y'all have all of your choices available to you. Just kind of head straight east out into the swamp. And after just a little bit, you can kind of see it already off in the distance there. There's a little ball just waiting to be murdered and turned into a new skill for us. There you go. Vow of the Indomitable. So, with that, we are going to hop up to the Moonlight altar, and we're actually going to head down to here first. Now, there is quite a bit of stuff to do in this area. Some of it's not too bad, some of it is insanely hard. And that's why I thought it would be best to save the majority of this area for a later time. Now, before we really start tackling stuff, because, I mean, you can see ruins over there, there's ruins on the other part, we want to work our way on down, and we want to get on over to the grace that's in the south of the island. The main reason being that once we get down there, we're going to start a Great Beast quest, and that has us run all over this upper area, so it makes sense to go over there and snag that first, and then we do our exploring. So just ignore the ruins for now, ignore the dragons, ignore the enemies, ignore pretty much everything. We're just running straight on over to get that thing first. And I mentioned this very, very briefly when we first reached this area, but this is going to get us a spell that's really nice for mages, the Ranni's Dark Moon. It's also one of the legendary sorceries you need for your all legendary sorceries achievement, so you're all going to want to do this regardless. I'd also suggest having some throwing knives or a crossbow or something on deck. Things are getting dark and spooky in the Crystal Forest. Lot of riding. Alright, here we are. So go ahead and hit the book. Seek 3 great wise beasts. The very first one, and a good indicator, when you see a bunch of turtles around, you know you're getting close to the right spot. And this first one is right there, sitting on the edge of the cliff. So take him out. From there, we are going to work our way up over to here. And then we're going to head on over and we're going to hit both parts of these ruins. So those are our next 3 spots. The thing is, we need to activate the book and then go after them. And you need to do it, like, I mean, if you die, the ones you got, they're still done. But we can't, like, turn on the book and then just warp up north and run to the other one. You actually need to run the course of the island. Well, not island. I don't know what we'd even call this. A plateau, I guess? It's like its own little standalone portion of a cliff. Put on this because it is kind of dark here. While we're here, you can kill anything you want. You know, kill the wolves, kill the crystal things. There's just a lot of ground to cover up here, so I'm mainly just focused on getting there and getting them done. Yeah, it's hard to think. I can't believe this is at 841 at 55.55. That's absolutely just, whew, some big AR. And we can use grease or blood flame blade or whatever else we want on top of that. That's good. But you can see we're starting to see more turtles again. this one. Where are you at? There he is, right there. This one I might need a crossbow to hit him. We'll see. Because he's on, you can't actually get him from below. He's on this separate little platform. Up we go. I can drop down, but I prefer not to. There we go. Will you work? Oh, you won't. Okay. Oh shit, you have crap range. What's your range? 50? Alright, let's do it. This great bow sucks. It's just whiffing. I need to... There we go. Alright, we got him. Alright, so that's the second beast. We're gonna head to mark number 2. This first little portion of the ruins, there's gonna be a revenant that spawns, so just be ready to whoop some ass. And then after him, over here, we have a hidden floor. I'll get us a smithing 8. And then we're going to head on over to 3. Just the second part of the ruins. Right over there. I think there might be like a loose rune item around here. Let's take a quick look. No, that's the big thing, is we wanted that smithing 8, because smithing 8s are still pretty hard to come by. So over here, let's see. Smithing 8, Stoneward Seals, Cerulean Amber 2, Revenant and Ring 10, Fireflies by the Triple Crawlers. So we were just barely short on killing those things when they jumped out. I'm gonna get this ready. So you get a Cerulean Amber Medallion +1 here. You're probably never going to use it, but, well, I mean, we've already used the Stoneward Key. Stone Sword. I gotta, man, I'm going to be calling those Stone Words until the end of time if I don't keep correcting myself. It's going to increase your FP. I mean, I wouldn't use it, but I'm not you, so do whatever works. There we go. 4 hits and a clean kill. He's down. I believe this is our rune 10. There's our rune 10. Nothing here. One of these spots, there's like a bunch of little crawlers that'll summon up. I think that's right here. These are just the one that jingle the bells. Okay, that's good. So from here, we're gonna head on up. We're gonna go to Moonfolk. Remember, do not warp. If you warp, it's gonna disable the active great beasts. So keep running. Now, there's some glintstone dragons around here, so I would be cautious. I would ignore them for now. We've already killed the major one that got us the Duelist Moonblade, of course, but there's just a couple of lesser dragons as well. So in here, there's a Rune 9, Rune Arc, Magic Grease, and then a Somber 8 in a chest. Bunch of these guys just laying around. Alright, there's our Rune 9. There's our Rune Arc. Magic Grease, Somber 8. Stuff on his body. Guys will just teleport all around. They're not really a threat, though. Some Magic Grease. Somber 8 should be right around these guys, if I remember right. Where was it? Where was my Somber 8? This might take a minute. So I did this area way back when, like when we first reached here. And then once I got to some of the farther stuff, I was like, you know what? We are not going to survive here, so we need to leave. So this place is not in my recent memory, but I gotta just find the damn underground path. Where was it? Where was it? It's probably over on this side. And it's a Somber 8 stone, so it's not like it's like, oh wow, what an amazingly valuable item. We have plenty of those at this point. We can buy an infinite amount very soon. Here. No? Where's it at? Oh, yes, it is here. There we go. Just slightly off. There's our Somber 8. Okay, so from here, we're going like right here-ish, and then we're going to go on over there to the Evergaol. So we're going to run past those dragons that I previously mentioned. So dip down a little bit. Gonna just go a wee bit south so that we're not cliff jumping. You can see double dragons hanging out. Okay, and right around that first mark we made, we're looking for an air current. You can already see the turtles. Where is our air current at? Not seeing. There it is. So the turtle is above in the sky. A little bit of practice, you can hop up and bonk him Mario style. When you do, that will remove the seal, and now we can get access to Ranni's Dark Moon. But we're not done. When we're down here, we have the Evergaol. Now this is quite possibly the hardest Evergaol in the game. I'm going to take probably 3 attempts at it. There's a good chance I'll just get my ass beaten here. So we are going to... This thing we're fighting doesn't deal with elevation well, so we're going to use that to our advantage. Basically, it's coming for us already. We're going to fight right by this little rock here. We're going to be hopping up and down the rock. That'll help us. I know that sounds ridiculous. That will hurt a lot. You can fall off this ledge and die to gravity, so be cautious. Oh, don't let them grab attack hit you. If you need to heal, jump up on the rock. No, stop it. Lecto. Jump up, get a heal off. Yeah, for whatever reason, Electo's AI doesn't do well with like this ledge over here. So you can kind of bully her into a corner a little bit. That grab attack will almost kill you if it hits. You can parry her, you can backstab her. I like just getting her in this corner and then doing my thing. Man, that was so easy with a quality build. And that gets you her daughter, Black Knife Tish, and 80,000 cool runes. So Tish is a super, super good summon. She's very evasive. She does that attack for crazy damage. It burns maximum health off targets, so it's good all the way through the end of the game. If you don't want to use Mimic, Tish is arguably the other summon to use. She's basically the best out there. So from here, we're almost done. We're going to work our way over here for a bunch of upgrade mats, and then we are going to head back to Ultra South. So just head on down. I think there's some crystallines around here that we can murder on the way, just for shits and giggles, now that I got a big-ass blunt weapon. I definitely need to go fiddle with golden langs. It feels like they did nerf it. It did not. It used to be like boom, boom, boom on 3 hits, and now those hits don't seem to do damage anymore. And if they nerfed my baby, I'm gonna be upset. Oh yeah, that's good. Oh, that's satisfying, ain't it? Ooh, yeah, that's good. Get us some flasks back. Glad I had that great bow on, just haphazardly. So this is it. We're gonna run past this one. I don't need. I've already killed your sisters. I don't need to kill you too. So we have a red wolf of Radagon waiting for us. Y'all have fought this thing before. You already know the drill. We're going to mostly just spell parry this thing and it'll kill itself. Bird Tree Great Shield will work fine. Carrying Retaliation will work fine. God, you were so annoying, pup. Why are you not taking damage? Carrying Retaliation been bugged as shit lately. Yeah, it's not taking damage from it. That's weird. We got people instant killing with it on PC, and meanwhile on PS5, it's not hitting at all. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Oh, we're probably gonna die since my carrying Retaliation isn't working, and that was my main plan on fighting this guy. That sucks. That really sucks. But we can get back up to this guy easily. We've already popped the seal, so we can run right back and get our runes from the lower path. Yep. And that really is ass. I know the Erd Tree Great Shield will work. I might go if Carrion is still being a little goofy here, I'm gonna go pick up Erd Tree Retaliation instead. You know, I prefer not to use it, but you know, it is what it is. It's just heavy, very high weight requirement, you know. And you don't need to kill this guy, but I mean, runes, it's worth good runes, so might as well. Oh my God. Problem is, when he attacks, he also runs out of my range. So it's like, it's a double whammy, because I can't even get a good counter hit in. Alright, well now he's just being a little goofy. Come on. So it's always worth having a spare throwing knife. So pick up the smithing 8. Pick up the smithing 7, and then over here for more smithing goodies. Alright, from here, go back down to Altar South. And then we're gonna head on into Chalona's Rise, and we're gonna go get ourselves a legendary sorcery. And if I have a excess of Sombering, I'm gonna upgrade an Erd Tree Great Shield, just because if I run into a situation where my carrying isn't doing its thing, well, I don't play that game. I do not get off spell parries only to be rewarded with no damage. There it is, Ranni's Dark Moon. So as I mentioned, this is slightly cheaper than Renala's Moon. It's not as strong, but it deals a ton of frostbite damage, and frostbite procs, you're getting 20% more damage from everything, so I think it's worth using. But yes, with that, we are now actually done. So all of Limgrave, all of Caelid, all of Liurnia, all of Gelmir, and the Altus Plateau, it's done. We finished it all. Obviously, up next, we're going to be working our way into the capital, and things are going to get a little crazy there, especially going down into the sewer. But you want to know what's ridiculous, and this is nuts. So we still got to do that. The capital is arguably the longest of the legacy dungeons. It has the whole sewer zone attached to it, which is huge. After that, we go up here into the mountaintops of the Giants, which is a massive zone. Connecting to that, we have the consecrated snowfields, which is a massive zone. On top of both of those, there's the Halig Tree, which is another huge legacy dungeon, and then Farum Azula, which is another huge legacy dungeon. So there's still a ton of content. Like, I'd say we're maybe 60% through the game at this point. Like, it's staggering how much there is in this game. But let's do a little bit of, since I'm out of material at this point. I would be like, let's keep going, but like I don't have notes for anything else yet, so we are instead going to talk about some upgrades and weapons and just kind of do a touch base. It's been a minute since we've talked about, like, well, what do we have available to work with?
Well, I took you've no man to lay out your own.
Alright, first things first. No, I'm out of the 7s. All those are both ready to go. I'll let that sit for the time being. I probably have plenty of somber smithing for this, though. Yeah, having that's plenty for that. We can already use that. These are good. Okay. So, we have that as a backup now. Yeah, I need my other talisman slot, which we don't get for a minute here. So obviously at this point, couple things that you should have going on. Obviously these stats aren't completely reflective, because keep in mind that we also have a Great Rune and then we have our Radagon Source Seal. But there's a couple thresholds you should hit. 60 Vigor. I would suggest having your Vigor either at 60 or as close to it as you can get at this point in the game. Vigor is absolutely your priority. It's what keeps you alive. Going past 60, you're going to see very minimal returns. 60 is the sweet spot. Get up there, you have close to 2,000 health. That's going to allow you to survive most things. Beyond that, getting a little more mind here, even for melee classes, it's not going to hurt. It might even be worth it if you want to use some of the other summons. Just because on top of that, it's going to give you a little bit of wiggle room for working with your weapon arts. So a little bit of mind ain't going to hurt. Your primary damage stat should be at its soft cap by now. So if you're playing a strength build, 80. Dex build, int build, faith build, any of those, I would have that all the way up at 80. If you're playing a hybrid build, like quality, 55-55 is a good breakpoint to aim for. If you're playing a quality spell build, by that I mean intelligence and faith, I would aim for... it's a little bit iffier. Technically 60-60, but 50-50 wouldn't be bad. Arcane, if you're playing an Arcane build, also that should be up at 80. If you're playing Arcane strictly for spells, you're using the Dragon spells and the Dragon Seal, you should be looking at like a 45 Arcane, 36 Faith split. 36 Faith is high enough to use the highest tier of Dragon spell. Majority of your scaling is coming out of Arcane. That kind of caps off at 45. But those are your thresholds right now. If you're a thick boy, your endurance can go all the way up to 50 in terms of stamina. The breakpoints are, we stop getting stamina at 50 endurance. We stop getting good equip load gains up at 60 endurance. So keep going up with that to have your medium load. I mean, that's where we're at. Where I'm at right now with these stats, moving forward, I'm going to basically just be getting a little bit more mind, so I have more FP to summon things and use my abilities, and I'm going to be getting more endurance so that I can work my way towards a great shield and use that with the sword. And that's the crazy thing. See, people always talk about meta in this game, and let's talk about meta briefly right now as well. So in Elden Ring and in Souls games in general, there's something referred to as the meta, and it's a level that you typically stop leveling at to ensure that you have connectivity with other players, because when you go to invade, or you put down the sign to get summoned in to help somebody, or alternatively you're looking for signs of people to summon, there is a level calculation in effect. So these aren't exact numbers, but let's say you're level 100, you'll be able to find players between level 80 and level 120, just to give an example. So there's like an upper limit and a lower limit. The actual calculation is a little more specific than that, but that serves for the purpose of this example. Now originally the PvP kind of meta level was what set it. It's what people want to stop leveling at for good balanced PvP. The thing is, a lot of people are pushing for like 120 to 125 with that, and I strongly disagree with that for the simple fact that we still have a ton of the game left and we're already 122. And I don't think it's realistic to expect players to stop leveling at this point with all the stuff that we still have. That's outrageous. So most of my builds, I tend to keep them at 150. If this is your first time through the game, I wouldn't suggest stopping at a meta level at all. I would suggest spending all those runes, level up, become a god, who cares? You know, it's your playthrough. And then after the fact, if you decide, hey, I really want to do a lot of PvP, I think I'm really enjoying that, make another character and then get them to 120, 125, 150, whatever the meta ends up being. But just to put that on the record, you know, we're gonna keep leveling up with this character, and just to see what we end at, you know, at the end of doing all the content in the game, what are we going to be? My guess is like 170, 175, probably somewhere around there. Yeah, so let me look at all of our stuff real fast. Let's talk about some weapons, some stuff that's good. We'll go through spells. So for my sorcery gang out there, main things you should be working with. This should be your boss nuke for stationary bosses. Obviously, any of this stuff you should be using with the flask that gives you infinite FP. This is your main boss nuke. This is a good spell, but it's more PvP oriented. We have Ranni's Dark Moon or Renala's Dark Moon. I prefer Ranni's because 20% damage off Frostbite. Loretta's Great Bow is very good for getting snipes off on targets. Moving on from there, Dula's Moonblade, another fantastic spell all around. Eternal Darkness will vacuum things into it, great when you're fighting other spellcasters. Meteorite is what you want to use in place of Comet if you're fighting something that's moving a bunch. Even this late, Rock Sling is still fantastic. If you have Arcane, Oracle Bubbles is fantastic. Ancient Death Rancor for my hybrid people, really solid spell. Hopping on over to Faith Gang. If you're playing dedicated strength, I would suggest putting these on. The Beast Talisman is going to upgrade with strength, so you can use this stuff basically for free. It's going to be decent. It's going to cost some FP, obviously, but you can throw rocks at stuff. You can toss out Bestial Slings, Bestial Claws. There's really no reason to not use this if you're running a strength build. As for my more castery stuff, Golden Vow, this is an absolutely solid buff. I'd recommend 100%. Protection of the Erdtree, decent buff. Golden Vow's better. Wrath of Gold is fantastic. Most of the aspects of the Crucible are kind of bad. Elden Stars is good in PvP to chase players down, not very good in PvE. Lightning Strike is okay. Lannisix's Glaive takes a long time to get off, but it's decent. Unfortunately, this has a weird hitbox, wouldn't recommend it. This is PvP related. As for the Pyromancies, we don't have much at the moment. This is trash. This one is okay. Flame Grant Me Strength is good. It's a 20% attack power boost. It only lasts for 30 seconds, something to keep in mind. And obviously, I haven't turned in all my books. There's more spells as well, which we could pick up. Swarm of Flies is fantastic. Flame of Frenzy is still one of your highest damage dealing spells. Frenzy Burst is fantastic for snipes. All the Dragon Breath stuff is good. All of that's good. On the note of spells, let's go. We'll go turn in some books, talk about the spells we get from those briefly. Because there's spells I don't have that I'd like to touch on. Don't worry, weapon people. We're getting to you, I promise. Okay, other things. Surge Flame is dookie. This is okay. This is complete trash. Don't use it. This has a much longer cast than it has any right to. Electrify Armament's great. Lightning Spear's great. Home Bolt you can spam, so it's kind of good. Looking at these, we have upgrades to everything here except Carrying Slicer, which is good. Looking at weapons, so I'm going to be talking about these from the perspective of all of the different classes. Besides the stuff I'm already using, of course. If we go over here, arcane builds, you should be working with Reduvia at this point. Up till now, Reduvia is still going to be one of your best damage dealers by far. If you want a double dagger, going for a black knife is a really solid dagger. Alternatively, you could take any other dagger that you can put bleed onto. You could do Miser Cord, you could just do regular dagger, you could do the Sekinda that we picked up, but you're going to want to have 2 bleed daggers ideally. Going down into the straight sword category, Night and Flame got nerfed, but it's still not too bad. Regalia of Echoade, this is fantastic for arcane builds. Obviously it doesn't have bleed, but if you're doing a non-bleed arcane build, this is your go-to. Saint Trina is mostly a joke and a gimmick. Even just double Lord Sword and straight swords, you can do some work with these. One of my playthroughs I made 1 bleed and 1 frost, and they were fantastic working together. Carrying Night Sword isn't bad, but the fact that you're locked into Carrying Grandeur kind of sucks. Ornamental straight swords are a good choice. Golden Epitaph is a pretty solid choice. Going down here, besides the obvious quality stuff like Flamberge, Claymore, Lord Sword, you can do whatever you want with those. Gargoyles, Black Blade's not too bad. Inseparable Swords, Sacred Blade isn't terrible. Marius is basically a better version of Regalia. I'd recommend it. Weapon art on this one is too slow, so I wouldn't recommend it. Lord's Pull, kind of goofy. Death's Poker, very strong if you're doing some type of hybrid. Dark Moon Greatsword, very strong for PvE content. Still one of the best strength weapons in the game. 100% recommend. Very, very strong strength weapon, but Wolf's Assault kind of sucks, so it's hard to put my support behind it. Ruin's Greatsword is obviously a fantastic choice. Godslayer Greatsword is a fantastic choice. Looking at the rapiers, I mean, rapiers, you can really run whatever. They're all going to be good. Antspur in particular. Run these. Run double rapiers. You have Frostbite and Rot. That's gross. Bloody Hellas would be my recommendation for heavy curved. Of course, we have 2 if you want to dual wield them. As for our curved swords, Scavengers innately comes with bleed, making it an excellent choice. Besides that, Wing of Estelle, this is what I would switch to if I was a mage. This thing has a devastating art with Nebula. I like it more than Moonveil, personally. I think Moonveil's overrated. So, good mage pickup. As for the curved great swords, both of these are kind of goofy. We already have Bloodfang, which is obviously top tier. As for the katanas, the Nagakiba is just straight up better in every way compared to the Uchi. It's just way, way longer. On top of that, you can see it's going to have higher dex scaling to begin with. It's worth it. Serpent Bone, Poison's bad, don't use it. Meteoric Ore is kind of lackluster. Moonveil, obviously it's good, it's Moonveil. And Dragon Scale, unfortunately, I don't think is that good, but Ice and Lightning is an interesting combination. Quality, Twin Knight, Dex, Godskin Peeler, Strength, Gargoyles, Twin Blade. Even making your weapon either, heavy, quality, or keen, that's what I would go with. Keen here, quality here, strength here. Eleanor's Pull Blade is cool. It unfortunately has a weapon art that whiffs a lot, something to keep in mind. As for the one-handed axes, these are all kind of okay. Nothing to really call out. Hoarfrost Stomp was nerfed, so... bleed on the Great Omen Killer Cleaver, which is nice. Might be worth using those if you want to have a great axe. Morningstar, obviously a fantastic choice. Fun art on Nox Flowing Hammer. The finger is pretty cool, but nothing here is really an amazing standout. Same with flails. The main advantage of flails is that they can't be parried. Going into the Great Hammer, we already have the best Great Hammer. It's the Great Stars. Great Stars is OP. It has good range. These don't have range. Going here, I like Prelate's Inferno Crozier. This thing's good. I think this is better. Great Club and Troll's Hammer. Stuff like this isn't bad, but I would stick with one of these two. This one as an hybrid is a very good choice. If you really want to use Giza's Wheel, it's good. The blood loss just, it attacks slow, so don't expect tons of bleeds. Cross Naginata, absolutely fantastic spear. Good moveset, blood loss build-up, can't go wrong with it. Inquisitor's Giriendel, it's okay because of blood loss, but this is going to be better. Moving on here, for faith builds, either of these is a good choice. Vike's War Spear is fantastic, but it's PvE oriented. As for our halberds, I really like the moveset on some of the stuff like Golden Halberd, stuff like the Knight Rider Glaive. I think those are fantastic. These are more your pokey halberds. Gargoyle's Black Halberd isn't bad, but you can't change the weapon art, so that's a problem. As for the scythes, if you want to farm up a great scythe, I would use that, otherwise ring scythe. As for the whips, to this point, Magma Whip Candlestick is our best bet. We don't have the other, the bleed whips yet. They come in much later. As for these fist weapons, I wouldn't use any of them. I mean, Cypher Pada, if you're doing a pure faith build, is alright, but Clinging Bone and Katars aren't that good. If you want to use claws, Bloodhound claws, because they get past shields. And that about wraps it up. As for bows, bows are sadly utility. They have very, very poor scaling, even when leveled up, so bow playthroughs are kind of pointless. For sorcerers, this is useful when you have your 10 seconds of unlimited FP active, otherwise you want the one from the final boss. For my Faith Gang, Erdtree Seal at 80, this is going to be your best bet, unless you're doing Arcane, Dragon Communion Seal. You're going Split, Golden Order Seal. The rest of them are negligible unless you're staying at 60 for some reason. Shields to work with at this point. This is going to be Spell Parry. Beyond that, if you want a Great Shield, it doesn't really matter. We have much better ones coming up soon. Great Total Shield, obviously a great choice because of the stamina. These two torches for the utility of them, and then Spiral Horn because it does all resistances. So, that is a quick rundown of all the good weapons in the game, stuff y'all should be working with. We're going to be wrapping up here. Moving on from here, we have the capital waiting for us. So head on over to the East Capital Rampart, and I will see you all soon as we make our way through the capital city.